Okay, let me just see if technical things are fine. Okay, thank you so much for confirming, guys. Yes. So, guys, today we are starting the first live session, right? So, before this session, 5 recorded lectures were uploaded, and there we have covered few parts of your ancient history. We started from Indus Valley civilization, then we covered the Vedic era, then later Vedic era. We also discussed about the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. Today we will just continue that particular topic. We will specifically discuss the part of Buddhism in the later part of today's lecture, starting with the few points related to Jainism. Okay, so do you want me to start with the revision of last classes? Because I thought that we are meeting after a break of 2 days, right? So that's why I have planned this lecture in a way that for starting 5 to 10 minutes, we will dedicate for the revision of last 5 lectures, in which we have covered Indus Valley civilization, Vedic era, and the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. And after that, we can continue with the new topic. Fine? I hope it works well. Sounding good? Great. I can see you guys in the comment box, and I can see many of our students are live, and I'm really happy to see you all. And I was so excited to meet you guys, because since last 5 lectures I was just waiting to see how the experiences are going, and I am really glad to see that you are liking this. Fine. So let's continue from the revision part. As I discussed with you, we are covering it topic wise. That's why what I have planned now, that I'll be giving you the name of chapter also, so that you know that from which particular class which chapter is completed today. So today I'll be discussing the class 12th NCERT and class 6 NCERT, of course. So in class 12th NCERT, the first chapter covers the part of Indus Valley civilization. So as we are revising today, and the topic is already done with you, we have already covered it in the class 6 NCERT. So let's do a quick revision. As I told you, this chapter is from class 12th. The name of chapter is Bricks, Beats and Bones. Okay, so this is all about the Harappan civilization. It is just a revision. Fine. So I'll not give you any dictation. I'll not repeat any unnecessary points. Fine, just quick revision. Now, if we divide the Harappan period or the Indus Valley civilization, we can divide it into 3 parts. First part is the early Harappan culture, which was the part which was going simultaneous with the Chalcolithic period. I hope you remember there was a Chalcolithic period in which copper and stone both were mixed. They were put together to make new equipments, to increase the technology. And from that particular period, discrimination in society started. We also saw it very prevalent in the prehistoric paintings. And from that particular period only, some few parts of India and the present Pakistan, they saw the rise of Harappan culture. So the early Harappan culture comes before 2600 BC. Okay, and then what happened? People started developing the township, the infrastructure, and when it was matured, it is known as the mature Harappan culture, when it was at its peak. Okay, so when it was at its peak from 2600 BC to 1900 BC. Okay, this is mature. How can you remember this? Just giving you a small trick. You know that when we are teenagers, you remember your teenage time? If you remember, or if you are in your teenage, you must be knowing that in the early stages, you just grow up. You know that something is there which is known as adulthood, but you are not very mature to take right decisions at that time. Okay, but after 19, you get very matured. Okay, and till 26, you are at your peak. You have the best part of your energy. You are very energetic. You have a great level of enthusiasm, a great level of ambition, right? People after 26 are less ambitious. Then you will see a decline phase. Okay, This is a general example just to make you understand, okay, just to relate it with you. So you can try to relate it with your own examples also, but try to understand that this particular part is very mature. You get very mature after you're 19, right? Then you are not a kid anymore. You understand the reality of life. Fine. So in this way, you can remember the time period. Then the late Harappan culture comes after 1900 BC. And if you remember, around 1500 BC, we saw the rise of Vedic era, which is again divided into two parts. Early Vedic era and later Vedic era. Fine. So 1900 BC and after it, we saw the decline of Harappan culture. Can you tell me a few of the points why Harappan culture declined? In the comment box. And then I'll be discussing the most important map for your exam, which is coming from this topic. Okay, so what is the question? Let me repeat it. The question is that you need to tell me the reasons why this big Harappan culture or Indus Valley civilization declined. There are many points, there are many reasons. It is a very debatable topic, but there are many theories associated with it. And I told you few of the points that could be the reasons. So if you remember, write it down in the comment box. Okay. Okay, so it's a nice idea to remember, as Sri Lakshmi is saying. Thank you guys. Thanks for your appreciation. Fine. Yes, Aryans came. Disaster. Okay. I need more answers. I can see many of you are live, but only few of the students are active. And see, I am coming live just to interact with you. As I told you that we need to talk, discuss and learn things together. That's why I'm live here. There is no point of coming live if there is no interaction. That's why we are not uploading the recordings now, so that you can have your answers on your tips. Okay. I can see there are few points like climatic conditions. Okay. The most important thing is pandemic situation, earthquake, floods. These reasons were associated. Fine. So if we look at the Harappan civilization, we can see that we can have a northern boundary, right? Southern boundary. We can also have a western boundary and an eastern boundary, right? It's very easy to divide it. So if you see, there are few of the cities like Manda is the southern boundary. Manda is the southern boundary. There is northern boundary, Manda. Then in the southern area, we have Daimabad. Okay, let's see it in the map. Can you see this Manda here? Manda, very important. So in India, we have Manda. But if you go beyond the area of Jammu and Kashmir, there is Shortughai. Okay, Shortughai. Then we have Surka Kendor, okay, which is the western boundary. And then Daimabad is here, which is the southern boundary. And then in the easternmost part, we will find Alamgirpur, which is in Uttar Pradesh. Fine. So these four locations are very, very important, which you need to remember for the exam. Here we will see that in each and every city, they divided the city into two parts. In the western part of the city, we found citadels where aristocrats and big people used to live. Kings and, big rich people. They had bigger houses, bigger drainage system, and they had better granaries also. Then there was the lower town. Generally, it was the eastern part of the city, and in the lower town, common people used to live. Okay, I hope you remember this. We have covered it all. Okay, so they had a great level of architecture. They had a good sense of geometry, and as we have already discussed, that road and drainage system was very nice. What kind of pattern they used to follow? They used to follow grid pattern, right? Grid pattern was followed, and at the burials in Harappan sites, the dead were generally laid in pits. So they used to make a pit and then they used to keep the body inside. Seals and ceilings were used to facilitate the long distance communication and also long distance trade. For trade and manufacturing also, seals were used. Exchanges were regulated by a precise system of weights and they were usually made of a stone, which is a very famous stone known as chert. And generally they were cubical in shape with no markings. This is an important point which you need to remember. As I told you that we are discussing it from class 6th and 12th. In the last part, what I was doing is, I took the base from the class 6th, but I found that same things are repeated in class 12th. So just to show you today, just to confirm it with you, I have created these slides so that you are very clear that if you are watching these series, you will be completing your entire NCERT. You don't need to read anything then. If we talk about the crafts, the place Chanudura was totally involved for the craft production, and there was a bangle factory also in Kalibangan. They were experts in bead making, and the best part is that they had all the kinds of varieties with them. They were very good in making different quantities, and shell cutting was also there, seal making was there, weight making was there. Lothal was also one of the important places for craft production. Lothal was also the Manchester of Indus Valley civilization. If we talk about the scripts, they are not deciphered, but they used Postophagon method, and there are 375 to 400 signs. So the scripts, they were very, very important, and the script was written from right to left and then again from left to right. As I told you, in this way they used to write. In every alternate line, they used to change the directions. Seals and ceilings were used to, have the long distance trade, and also just to see that if the things are fine. Okay, so if the mouth is tied, if there is a seal with any rope or any kind of knot is there, then it was assumed that, okay, it is affixed with some wet clay and it is not broken, so it is very much nice and pure and good enough to use. So they just used to make an impression to show that, okay, if this is sealed pack, then you can have this assurance that it is not used and you can always use it. This is coming from this manufacturer to this particular part. If the bag reached with its sealing intact, it means that it had not been tempered. Okay. So the sealing conveyed the identity of sender. It conveyed the purity of the material also. So we need to write a small timeline. You need to write these points because they are all important for prelims. I found it in the summary of your NCERT class 12th, and this is very interesting. So they can create your prelims questions from these points. Like the first point is, in 1862, Alexander Cunningham was appointed as the first Director General of Archaeological Survey of India. Archaeological Survey of India is a very important institution. It's working today, and we have so many monuments preserved because of this Archaeological Survey of India. So just remember that who was the first Director General? Alexander Cunningham. Then in 1921, D.R. Sahni discovered Harappa. Okay. Then in 1992, R.D. Banerjee discovered Mohenjo-daro. Then in 1924, Sir John Marshall announced the discovery of IVC. This is very important for prelims. I hope you are writing these points. Please write it down. Then in 1953, Kalibangan was excavated by A. Ghosh. And in 1955, S.R. Rao discovered Lothal. Then Shanghal was discovered in 1968 by S.S. Talwar and R.S. Best. So these all discoveries are very, very important for us. Now, after all these points, we saw that pastoralist came in India, and then the rise of Vedic culture happened. But with that, few questions came. Why? Because see, the life became very complex. And if the complexity will increase, questions will increase. People will not be peaceful, and they will try to find the peace by following the path of spirituality. And to get spiritual, they will need new gurus, okay, or preachers, teachers. So they started finding new ways, and then we found these two famous religions, Jainism and Buddhism. So tell me, which one is the older one? Jainism came first or Buddhism came first? Let's see who will give me the right answer. और कौन सबसे पहले आंसर देगा ये भी देखेंगे. Yes, like the Flipkart packages nowadays, that's right. I will provide the PPTs. Yes, I will provide you all the PPTs and study material. You'll also get homework. We will also do the mains answer writing practice where you can send me your answer for analysis, and you'll also get the personalized mentorship. So if you want to connect with the team and if you want to stay connected with me, because see, I'll be coming live at 9 p.m. But whole day, if you feel any doubt is there, if you feel like talking or discussing something, you can always come to our group. And to join that group, you need to come on the Telegram channel. The link is there in the description box. There is form also, and you can see that link after completing the session. Don't miss the session. Don't keep your mind fluctuating. Don't get distracted. After watching the class, just come and join me on that Telegram. Okay, you will get the link in the description box. Even in the comment box, we will provide you. And from there, we can connect. Fine. Welcome, Sri Lakshmi. So the aspirant said Buddhism came first. Okay, many of you think that Buddhism came first, but let me tell you guys, this is a wrong answer. Okay. Yes, this is enough, CNN. Great, great. So first of all, let me announce the name of winner. Soumya. Soumya, you are right. Jainism came first. So the first answer, quickly, it was given by Soumya. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Fine. So Jainism came before Buddhism, and Jainism became popular when Mahavira joined. Okay, and when he added the fifth important constraint in Jainism, which was Brahmacharya. Fine. Now I'll just make you remember all these points. I know that since last 2 days you were not revising enough, so you might forget things, but don't worry. So this chapter you will find it in your NCERT. If you want to see class 12th NCERT chapter 4, in this chapter they are talking about Jainism, Buddhism. Same topic is repeated in class 6th also, class 6th NCERT, but in class 6 this is in chapter 6. Fine. So don't get confused. As we are moving topic wise, we don't need to read these two chapters separately. We'll combine them together and I'll dictate important points also. So there are similar topics in both the lectures, and the name of chapter is Thinkers, Beliefs and Building Cultural Developments. In the class 6th NCERT, the topic was new questions and ideas. If you remember, I was discussing it in the last class. So what I have done, merged it for you. As I told you that the time of 6th century BC, it was a very complex time for society. Wherever there is a transition, there are new problems and questions. Okay. So when you will see something is getting created, a new phase of urbanization is coming or a new phase of development is coming, then there will be a part of destruction also. If something new is getting created, you need to see the destruction also. Fine. This is a normal, natural process. But something is there when we talk about this worldly life. There are few physical matters which you can experience physically, if you can see it, if you can touch it. But there are few intangible emotions also with which we grow up. Okay. So the human civilization was evolving now. And in this evolution, not just in India, but in the world also, we saw new religions getting started. New philosophies, new ideas came. So if you talk about these new philosophies, in India, we have two types of schools of philosophies. This chapter is also there in your art and culture. Okay, the school of philosophies in India, if you know the name. Just don't worry about anything, as I am touching all the points for you, because there needs to be a 360-degree approach. I don't want to leave anything. That's why I am interconnecting art and culture also. But try to understand that there are two types of schools when we talk about the philosophies. Okay. First is orthodox school of philosophy. Second is heterodox school of philosophy. Orthodox, heterodox. Orthodox is old one. Okay. O for orthodox, O for old. Remember like this. So old school of philosophy are orthodox, in which we found the Vedic philosophies or philosophies related to Vedas, traditional methods. Then this can also be called as आस्तिक school. Okay, जो भगवान में, आत्मा में, परमात्मा में believe करते हैं. So all those thoughts, old thoughts, Atma, Paramatma, Brahma, Veda. Then we found Nastic school. नास्तिक इज नॉट समथिंग इन विच देर इज नो गॉड, नो, वो वाला नास्तिक नहीं है. इट्स लाइक समथिंग न्यू. हेट्रोडॉक्स स्कूल. हेट्रोडॉक्स स्कूल में क्या है? इन हेट्रोडॉक्स स्कूल यू विल सी बुद्धिज्म, जैनिज्म, चार्वक स्कूल ऑफ फिलोसफी. इन चार्वक स्कूल यू विल सी अ डिफरेंट वे ऑफ लाइफ. लोकायत स्कूल ऑफ फिलोसफी. चार्वक एंड लोकायत आर सेम, in which they say eat, drink and make merry. खाओ पियो ऐश करो. इतनी टेंशन मत लो रिलीजन की. ओके, सो इन दिस हेट्रोडॉक्स स्कूल वी हैव अ चार्वक स्कूल और अ लोकायत स्कूल इन विच दे से eat, drink and make merry. खाओ पियो ऐश करो. So in this school what they say, you only have one life and you need to just live it on. Don't worry about things and people around you. What will society say? What will people say? What if they like it or not? See, this is a very good approach. And if you just observe nowadays in society, people are following this school. Maybe they don't know the theory of this school. Unknowingly, they are just doing it. जैसे आजकल के लोग हैं वो यही सोचते हैं कि why to think about others. But Jainism and Buddhism are not like this. They are also heterodox, but they are very different from Lokayat. You will see that there are many similarities in Buddhism and Jainism. And here comes your first question for mains answer writing. Okay, so you need to critically analyze the differences between Buddhism and Jainism and explain why the fall of both the religions happened in the modern India. Why we are saying the fall off or decline of these two religions? Because in the modern India, you will not see many of the people following these two religions. So you need to critically analyze the similarities and show that due to what reasons it declined in India, both the religions. Like Buddhism completely disappeared, Jainism is there but not very prevalent in the society. Only few of the followers are there. So why this fall, why this decline happened, this you need to analyze. I'll make you write also. This question I'll give you in the homework. And if you just remember, write it in the comment box for me so that other students copy and write it. You can put the answer in 250 words. Send me the photo of your answer in the group of our Telegram channel. We will, share the link there and then I'll analyze it for you. Fine. So as I was discussing with you guys, in the reconstruction of the history of India, if you will try to understand, you will see that from 600 BC to 600 CE, in which I told you that we just need to follow the number system in our mind to understand BC and AD. So if it is 0, the birth of Jesus Christ, it's saying that from 600 BC to 600 CE, what we saw? We saw that we have many invaluable information and we saw many Buddhist and Jain and Brahminical texts coming. So don't think that Hindus or Vedic philosophers were not doing anything. No. When there was the rise of Buddhism and Jainism in India, the Brahminical texts also started discussing the philosophies of Vedas. They also started their commentaries. Because they said that you don't need to find the answers in any other religion. Okay, you can get it in this Hinduism also. If you're following the Vedic culture, if you're following this tradition, don't go and start follow the other religion. No need to do that. We will give you the answer. So Brahmins also started writing those texts. But the problem that why these texts were not getting so popular and why they could not stop people to get converted into new religion is that these Brahminical texts were written in Sanskrit language. They were still following those old methods of writing in which people don't understand things. So people at that time, they were more popular about following the things or languages which is simple to understand, like Prakrit. So Jainism used to follow Prakrit language. So what is Prakrit? Basically it is a common group for all those languages spoken by general public which is other than Sanskrit. So Sanskrit was the language of elite and Prakrit became the common people language, आम लोगों की भाषा. In Prakrit we had Magdi, Ardh Magdi, Pali and other small languages also. So many other groups were there. So Pali was a part of Prakrit. Fine. Jainism used Prakrit. Pali was used by Buddhists. Okay. Pali is also a very complex religion. It is also a very old religion. Language. Very complex language. Very old language. Okay. So Brahminical texts were written in Sanskrit. Fine. Now, besides these texts, temples, stupas, monuments, etc. also provide authentic information. Can you guys see a new word today in the slide, which is coming for the very first time in the ancient history? Since last 5 lectures, we have never discussed about this new word. It is written on the slide. Let me just see who can find it and who will tell me. If you are reading ancient history or if you have read anything about ancient history, you must be getting this new word. It's not a new word, it's a very common word today, but it is getting discussed for the very first time in the ancient history. Can you see that word here? Let me just see, anyone. I need to see who will give me the first right answer. Yes. Yes, there is a separate group for NCERT Sunya IAS students to share the homework and mains answer writing and to talk to me, to discuss things with me. Because see, we want to have a closed group in which personally we can all get connected and get in touch with each other regarding the preparation, their journey, experiences, and also about the classes. If you want me to discuss anything in the class, you can always put your experiences and thoughts there. Fine. So Stupa is written by Kirthana. No, Kirthana Vishwanathan. I think you have not watched my previous lectures and I'm very sad about it. You must watch it, and if you are not following the series since the starting, there is the playlist. Okay, so just get the playlist in the Sunya IAS channel. And in this YouTube channel only, we have created the playlist for this NCERT series. We have never discussed about temples. Okay, temples. Fine. So first of all, it was given by, yes, Rishi. Great. Well done, Rishi. Temples, that's the right answer. Since the ancient time, even in the Vedic time, if you remember, there was no discussion about sculptures or architectures. But now you will see the rise of temples also. From the basic temples we started and then few new modules got added to it. We will come to the rise of temple architecture in India, but this will be discussed after 2-3 lectures. Okay, there is a separate lecture, but just try to connect a dot here that these temples will be coming up now. So do you think that it was a kind of a reaction against the rise of Jainism and Buddhism? That in the Hinduism also the rise of bhakti started, the rise of temple architecture started, because somehow Brahminical texts, they define these values now in a very different way. They were very critical about their thoughts in the Vedas, and they also wanted people to get engaged with them. They never wanted people to leave their religion. So if people are moving out of something, it may be very hard for them to follow. right? And for general public, you need to make few good relaxations, then only they will keep attached to you. Fine, let's say I want to continue this series for many months. Okay, I want to add more subjects to it, more books to it, more classes to it, then I need to ensure that it is very relatable to you. If you'll find difficult to join the classes, come to the lecture series, or if it is very difficult for you to understand it or share your thoughts, you'll not join. Okay, you'll not stay connected with me. So that detachment will come on that point where you will find it very hard to understand. Fine. Same thing happened with Brahmanism. In Brahmanism also, people got detached now. So when philosophers and big teachers and preachers understood it, they thought to make few new arrangements. Okay, so that people are engaged with them, and it was a best way to connect people. Made they started making temples, then those important famous temples were converted into the temple town area. Then the rise of township started. It was the reason for the wealth creation, economical developments also. Even today, because of few temples in India, those cities are famous. Maybe there is nothing in that city, but there is a temple which makes everyone come there, and so much of tourism is flowing in so many of these temple towns and areas. Give me some examples of temple towns in the comments. Meanwhile, I'm explaining this to you. So basically, the rulers of Bhopal, okay, or the Shah Jahana Begum, or any other rulers, if you say there were many rulers, they somehow played a very significant role in preserving these architectures. And when we talk about the Sanchi Stupa, Shah Jahan Begum and her successors, they ensured that it is preserved. So when we talk about the creators, we also need to discuss the preservers. Okay, so these stupas were created after 6th century BC, but the gateways were added in the later Mauryan periods. The size of stupas increased in the later Mauryan period, and when the modern time came, new rulers, new begums, they started preserving it. They thought to keep it very intact. And that's why we have this Sanchi stupa still standing in India, because we have lost many stupas, we have lost many architectures, right? But this is still there. Amongst the new sect that emerged in India in the 6th century BC, Buddhism and Jainism were the most popular sects. Lord Mahavira is regarded as the real founder of Jainism. Now, let's understand real. So called real founder means what? Regarded as the real founder, but he is not the real founder. Okay, as I told you, that Rishabdev was the first Tirthankar. And before Mahavira, we had the 23rd Tirthankar also, Parsavanath. Then Mahavira came. So, this was something about Jainism. But if we talk about Buddhism, the founder was Lord Buddha. So what happened that Jainism continued to be in India even today, but Buddha, or Buddhism got spreaded outside the country. It was spreaded in so many countries in South Asia and Southeast Asia, but it declined. It is completely disappeared from India. Okay. Why it happened? Let's not talk about the disappearance and fall now. Just understand the spread. So why Buddhism spreaded more than Jainism? Because of Ashoka and Kanishka. These rulers, they played a very important role in spreading it and making it go out of India. Okay. If we talk about the background of different religions at that particular time, try to correlate the things from Buddhism to Jainism to Hinduism and to the Bhakti movement also. Because many of you don't understand this point, that Bhakti movement started in 7th century BC. There are many students who get confused and they think that Bhakti movement is a part of our medieval Indian history. So this is the syllabus of medieval India, so we will discuss it in medieval India. No. Try to understand. Bhakti movement was started in ancient India, but it saw the rise and it was at its peak when the medieval India was coming, or when the time of medieval India was there. So Bhakti movement was already there, okay, but it was in a very dormant stage, very not very active, not many followers were there. When Sufism came in India, when rise of Islam started, then the rise of Bhakti movement was there and it was at its peak. But the concept of Bhakti was already there. Okay. Now understand from how it started. So the mid first millennium BC, it is often regarded as the turning point in the world history. Everywhere, not just in India, but in the world, because it saw the emergence of great thinkers. Okay, great thinkers like Zarathustra in Iran. Okay, can you tell me who is Zarathustra and from and with which religion he is associated to? Okay, I saw few answers related to Mathura, Tirupati. They are these temple towns. Great, fine. I'm very good. Thank you so much for asking, Divine. Fine. So I was asking, who is Zarathustra? He is god of which particular religion? In which particular religion people worship Zarathustra? Okay. Then Kongzi in China. Kongzi in China. Socrates, very important thinker. Even today people follow the thoughts of Socrates. Plato, Arastu or Aristotle in Greece, and Mahavira and Gautam Buddha in India. And you will see that even Europeans started discussing these thoughts. And you'll see the influence of the Greek art also, the European art also, in the sculptures of Buddha. In the sculptures of Buddha, or the sculptures associated with the Jatak stories. So they try to understand the mysteries of existence and the relationship between human beings and the cosmic world or the cosmic order, like how we are connected with this universe, how the universe is influencing us, and what I can ask universe to do for me. Like today I have seen that maybe because of social media or reels on Instagram, the concept of manifestation and asking universe to do something is very famous nowadays. Have you seen these type of reels that if you want to manifest, guys, you need to do this, try to think about it, try to see it everywhere and it will come to you, it will come to your life, it will become a reality. So these things are getting famous today, but it was started in the time of 6th century BC. And there were several pre-existing traditions also. There were many thoughts, religious beliefs and practices already getting followed in the world and in India. So all these we know from Rig Veda, which is compiled between 1500 to 100 BCE. Okay. So even I hope you remember that 1500 BC is the period which is also known as the Rig Vedic period. Okay, so there Rig Veda was written. So it was compiled between 1500 BC to 100 BC. Now, when all these new things came, people understood that okay, it is very easy to follow. And in the last class, we were writing about Jainism, where I told you the journey of Mahavira. Okay, so in the same manner, I'll discuss the journey of Buddha also today. Just to revise, understand what was the message of Mahavira or the message of Jainism. So according to Jainism, entire world is animated. Even stones, rocks, water, everything is having life, is having a soul. So you should not harm anything. So non-injury to living beings, ahimsa, became very important. It was the central point of Jaina philosophy. And according to Jainism, the cycle of birth and rebirth is shaped through karma. So you need to work very hard and be very pure in your actions if you want to follow it. Fine. Then came our Buddha. As I told you, Jainism came before Buddhism. So Buddha, he was the enlightened soul. How he became Buddha? So Gautam Buddha, the story of Buddha starts when Gautam Buddha, he was one of the most influential teachers of that time whose message spread across the subcontinent, and Central Asia to China it went, and then in Korea, Japan, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, everywhere it got spreaded, and most famous contribution comes from the Ashoka. So let's see how it started. Basically, Siddharth, he was the son of chief. He was the son of a chief of Sakya clan. Sakya Gana. Okay, Sakya Gana के राजा के बेटे थे. So Sakya clan. He was deeply shocked when he saw an old man, a sick man, a corpse. So he saw that people, they can get old, they can die, they can get very sick also. So he thought that even I am a human being, I can also face same situations. So what can I do to avoid these situations in my life? Then he understood that it is unavoidable. So he wanted to know what is the real meaning of life, what is the purpose of life, why I am living when I can die any day, when everything is so uncertain. Then what is the point of living this life? What is the true knowledge? So these questions came in the mind of Buddha, and then he started his journey of enlightenment, and ultimately he found it in Bodh Gaya, Bihar. And the problem is that during his travel, during his journey of searching the truth, he found many bad teachers, you can say, or people who just manipulated him. So this also became a part of his learning, that there are many diplomacies and manipulations in this world, and you need to overcome that also. You need to understand that what is real and who is your true friend, who is your enemy, and how to deal with people, how to deal with the society. So then he understood that we should follow a mid path. And what was the answer of all his questions? He understood that the meaning of life is to live and let live. Jiyo or jeene do. So if you feel happy in your life, whatever makes you feel happy, that is the best way of living. That will give you the most nicest way of living and enjoying the life. So you should be very happy. And to be very happy, you need to end your desires. You need to kill your desires. So by killing and ending all your desires, you will be having a very happy life. And that happy life is the real essence of being alive and being a human. So this thought, when he understood, he started preaching it. He started his preaching from Saranath. And that first sermon starts the point of Dharma Chakra Pravartana, which is turning the wheel of law. Why the turning of wheel of law is happening? Because it's a new phase, it's a new beginning now. Okay, the wheel of law is now turning. It's a new change, it's a new transition which will be there in the society. So his audience at that time in Sarnath, he thought that okay, these people are listening to me and they can relate to me. They are very happily associated with me. So what I can do is, let's create a Sangha. Like today we created a Telegram group. Fine. Why? Because I'm saying something and you guys are listening to me since so long time. And you want to be in a part of a group where we can get associated and discuss things with each other and take it to a new level. Okay, so if you feel like getting interested in something, then only you will take it to the new level, to the next level. So to get into a next level, you need to create a group. Okay, there needs to be a platform. No, if there is no platform, then how we will talk? We need to connect. So Buddha also thought that we need to have a platform. So let's make a Sangha. Okay, some kind of a organization where a group will be there, and these audience, they can come and join me, where they can follow my religion and my philosophy. Then we can polish it more and preach it to more new people. So new people will be coming and joining us, and in this way this group will become larger and this religion will also spread. But the problem is that you can't do everything on your own. You need to have patronage also. And the best part is that Buddhism got patronage from many popular, kings and rulers at that point. And why they started following this new religion? Why they started donating? Do you know why? Can you give me the answer that why many rulers in reality, don't give me answer that they like this religion and that's why they started following. No, that's not the real answer. If we see Modi ji going to a temple before election, it's not because he wanted to go or visit it. Maybe it is because of the election. Okay, so try to understand it. This is a politics. Okay, I'll not say that at that point the politics was that dirty or it was very manipulative at that time. No, but still, kings always want power. Okay, they wanted it. They wanted to legitimize their position. So, if you remember, when we were discussing the Vedic period, I told you that to legitimize their position, these kings used to give liberal donations to Brahmins. Okay, they used to perform many yagyas, Ashwamedh sacrifice, Rajasuya sacrifice, Vajpaya sacrifice. But now they understood that this new legitimacy and new level of popularity could be gained if we will become the ruler of masses. And how can I become the ruler of masses? If I understand what masses like. Masses are well connected with Buddhism. So if I will also give patronage to Buddhism, then my popularity will increase. People will love me more. And if I will still discuss those old thoughts, then I might not get new followers. Okay, so it is also a part of politics, guys. This is a very important approach because many of the students they think that okay, Ashoka, why he followed? Because Ashoka went in the Kaling war, he killed so many people and lakhs of people were dying, and after seeing so many dead bodies and bloodshed, he was moved and he thought to get converted. He started following ahimsa. Then why he didn't leave his army? Why he didn't leave the area which he fought for? Why he didn't leave Kalinga? Why didn't he restore the king or the dynasty or successor again? He was not leaving anything, no. Just understand. History and historiography are two different things. What you are reading is history, okay? But what is written in your books is based on an historiography. That historiography is done with a mindset. Maybe because of the religious followers and thinkers and people associated with that historians who was writing that book for you. So you never know the thinking and the mindset of that writer. What you can do is be neutral when you study. Okay, and that is something which is really the demand from the UPSC, that they want you to write a very balanced answer. And this is something which is known as the reading between the lines. बाल की खाल निकालने वाली बात है. You need to understand कि क्यों ये लोग अचानक से बुद्धिज्म जैनिज्म को इतना सपोर्ट करने लगे. Why they supported so much? Because they knew that by supporting these new religions will be getting new peoples and followers associated. It will be very easy to collect the taxes. It will be very easy to manage people, and it is so easy to understand for general public that if I ask people to do anything in this way, they will do it blindly, and they will think that it is something which is coming from any divine feeling. Okay, so that was the real thing. I hope you got it. Okay, so fine. I can see many new students coming in the class, and they were not there in our last series. Fine, so just don't worry, you can always watch it in the playlist. Now let's come to the topic again. So after attaining enlightenment, he came to be known as the Buddha or enlightened one. Means बिल्कुल बुद्धि उनकी खुल गई. So he became Buddha now. Now Buddha when he was enlightened, he knew the real philosophies of life, and for the rest of his life, he taught Dhamma. Dhamma is the Buddhist philosophy, and it is followed by Ashoka, and Ashoka's Dhamma is not the same Dhamma which is of Buddhism. Buddhism Dhamma and Buddhist doctrine and teachings are different, but they are similar to Ashoka's Dhamma. Ashoka's Dhamma are similar, but they are different, and they are more in a very more in practical way that Ashoka wanted his people to follow. Okay, so Dhamma is not a new religion. Dhamma is a thought. So for rest of his life, he started preaching it, and he taught the Dhamma, or the path of righteous living, the path of living life in the best possible way. So according to Buddhism, as I told you, the world is transient and constantly changing, and it is also soulless. This is a very great difference, because in Jainism they consider that everything has a soul, but in Buddhism they are saying that no, we can't say that anything is having a soul. No, everything is soulless. They were saying that within this transient world, sorrow or dukkha is intrinsic to human existence. So you cannot eliminate sorrow from your life. So you need to understand that the unhappiness, the fluctuation of moods can be there with you. But how to manage it? Buddha emphasized individual agency and righteous actions as the means to escape from the cycle of rebirth and attain the self-realization and nirvana. Okay, so now can you see one question here? That at one hand they are saying that they don't believe in soul. Okay, but on the other hand they are talking about the cycle of rebirth. So is it possible to have rebirth without a soul? What do you think? Give me the answer, yes or no, in the comment box. Is it possible to get the rebirth without a soul? Can we disassociate these two terms, soul and rebirth? Because it is always understood in this way that we have a soul, and soul can change the bodies, soul can never die. So how is it possible that in Buddhism they are discussing about everything, the world being so transient and it is constantly changing, it is soulless, but they are saying that you can get out of the cycle of rebirth if you follow Buddhism, or if you follow this way. So many of you are saying that okay, no. Understand, you guys are saying no, that you can't talk about soul without discussing rebirth, and if rebirth is discussed then soul should be there. So I'll tell you that it's not like that. Okay, the answer is yes. Basically there is a difference between understanding a concept and taking the terms very seriously in a very dictionary method. No, here Buddha is not saying that the sense is not there, senses are not there. He understands that senses are there, and he knows that there is a concept of life getting new ways and new forms again and again. Even in the Jataka stories, we saw that Buddha took birth in many different forms of bodies. Sometimes it was an insect body or an animal body or something else, and then he came in this human body. Do you know this? So that's why we can't say that rebirth is associated with soul completely, that soul which is Atma. No. Here he is saying that okay, you can get the rebirth. Maybe it is not associated with that kind of soul, but this coming and keeping this dukkha of life can continue until you get nirvana, until you get the salvation, moksha. So now followers ask that okay, how can we follow it? How can we go with this path? So Buddha founded a Sangha. As I told you, these new audience which were there in Sarnath, from there only the Sangha came. And when Sangha was founded, when it came there, it was an organization of monks, and they became the teachers of Dhamma, because these people, when they learned something from Buddha, they also started preaching, and they started teaching the concept of Dhamma, which is moral doctrine, okay, the way of life, like how to live, how to do things, and how to behave in the society. And they lived on alms, means whatever they used to get in donations, they used to beg and they used to get it. So whatever they used to get by, asking, and by all these donations and alms, they used to eat it, and they were known as bhikkhus or bhikkhunis. So bhiksha mangte the और वही खा के जीते थे. Later, women also entered the Sangha. Initially, Buddha was not really happy and was not ready to, keep women also. But then his disciples like Anand, Upoli, and it is said that even जो उनकी आंटी थी जिन्होंने उन्हें पाला पोसा बड़ा किया, सभी ने समझाया बुद्धा को. एवरीवन asked Buddha to let women also come and enter and be the part of Sangha. So Buddha understood it, and he allowed, and he gave the permission to women also. So Sangha, and they were known as bhikkhuni also. Women were known as bhikkhuni. So bhikshu, bhikkhuni, bhikkhu, bhikkhuni. So Buddha foster a mother, Maha Prajapati Gautami. Okay, as I told you, इन्हीं इनको पाला पोसा बड़ा किया, means she was his aunt, and she only took care of him. Why? Because on the birth, on the time of birth of Buddha, his mother died. That's why. So Gautami asked Buddha to let women enter. So she was the first woman herself to become the bhikkhuni, and then many other women joined. Now Buddha's followers included many kings. Wealthy men were also there, Gahapatis were also there, means the village administrators, they were also there, and ordinary peoples like worker, slaves, craft people, so many ordinary people, they all joined. Now it shows that the level of simplicity he had, so basic, so easy ways and concepts were there that everybody could understand and follow. So everyone became a part of it. Now Buddhism appealed to many people dissatisfied with existing religious practices or the Brahminical practices, Vedic practices, and they were confused by rapid social changes taking place around them. Because initially there was no Varna system, then Varna system came, then caste system also came. Okay, so many problems and so many things were going around. That's why people thought to have a easy way for salvation, because there were no elaborated rituals. If you talk about the reasons why these new religions came, so first of all, they were fed up of these elaborated rituals. It was a kind of a reaction against the Brahmanism. It was against the Vedic philosophy also. They were critical of Vedic philosophies, and this reaction came from the Kshatriyas. Okay, because both the Buddha and Mahavira came from the Kshatriya Varna. Now, the enlightenment of Buddha was showed by different symbols by many early sculptors. And you will see that in Buddhism also, two important famous schools or groups will be developed. And initially, Buddhism had a different viewpoint. They never did any idol worship. So the Buddhism during the time of Ashoka is very different from the Buddhism after the time of Kanishka, because after Kanishka there will be a split. So you will see that Bodhi tree, okay, Bodhi tree is signifying the part of enlightenment. So whenever the Bodhi tree is there, it shows the event of the life of Buddha, and especially the time when Buddha was going for enlightenment. The empty seat indicate the meditation of the Buddha. The Stupa represents the Mahaparinirvana. The wheel of Dharma shows first sermon of Buddha at Sarnath. So basically in Buddhism also, we see that when Mahayana Buddhism came, during the Mahayana Buddhism, we saw the rise of idol worship. Before Mahayana Buddhism, there was a part of Buddhism, Hinayan, in which symbol worships were only there. So these symbols are used in Hinayan Buddhism, which is during the time of Ashoka. Okay, which was during the time of Ashoka. After that, in the later stage, you will see the rise of Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, Mahayana Buddhism. Fine? Clear. Now let's come to the next part. Shalabhanjika was another feature of sculptural art which was regarded as an auspicious symbol and integrated into the decoration of stupa. You will see that to decorate stupa, many new sculptures and types of sculptures came. But these arts will be developed in the Mauryan period. Right now, we are not discussing the Mauryan period. Right now, we are discussing the time of Mahajanpadas, you can say, or the time when the Buddhism and Jainism were rising. We will discuss the Mauryan art separately when we will come to the Mauryan Empire. Right. Now, some of the finest depiction of animals like elephants, horse, monkey, cattle, they are also found in the stupas, especially to show the Jataka stories, which is related to the life of Buddha. Like Gajalakshmi is the goddess of good fortune, and the serpent are also found in the stupas or the wall of stupas. But during this Buddha period, we saw many new religious traditions. Why? Because Buddha was regarded as a human being who attained enlightenment and nirvana, and it was through his own efforts. Okay, nobody taught him, nobody asked him to follow something or do something or that. So later the concept of bodhisattva was developed. Okay, that okay, if you can follow these constraints very religiously and strictly, then you can go with the concept of bodhisattva and you can become a bodhisattva. So Buddhism later, as I discussed with you, divided into Hinayan and Mahayana Buddhism. I'll tell you how it was divided. There were 4 sanghas, and in one by in step by step approach we will go. I'll just come to it. So Buddhism was divided into Hinayan and Mahayana, and this period also saw the emergence of Shaivism and Vaishnavism, Shiva ki bhakti or Vishnu ki bhakti. So Shaivism was more popular in South India, and Vaishnavism was more popular in North India. Apart from this, in the eastern part of India and northeast, we saw the rise of Shaktism in the medieval times, which was the Shakti Puja, in which Devi worship like Durga, Parvati, and so many other goddesses are worshipped. But during the time of Buddhism, Shaivism and Vaishnavism also came, and cults related to Shaivism and Vaishnavism became famous in India. In such worship, the bond between devotee and God was visualized as one of love and devotion or bhakti. So basically, when bhakti came, it said that you don't need a connection or you don't need a mediator to get the salvation or find your God. You just need to connect to the God by yourself directly. Don't think about anything. Don't try to follow any priest or preacher, teacher, or any mediator. Because so many mediators come and so many mediators and middlemen came that people became confused. They had to give donations, they had to pay some amount to every particular Brahman or preacher or a particular person to attain salvation. So it became very problematic for poor public to give so many donations and to do so many elaborated rituals. They could not perform all these. So then they decided that we can have something new. where we can directly connect to the God by devotion. श्रद्धा, श्रद्धा होनी चाहिए मन में, बाकी कुछ नहीं चाहिए. So only if you can have devotion, shraddha inside yourself, then only you can connect to God. Then you don't need anyone else to you or to have your rituals done for you. No, not at all. Now the temples to house images of gods and goddesses were being built with a tail structure known as the shikhar over the central shrine. So basically, when the temple architecture was started, there was a central shrine and we had 4 small shrines around it. Okay, and this kind of architecture was very, very popular, and panchayat, way of architecture was done. So basically, if this is a temple premise, here you can have a main shrine and 4 small shrines around it. Okay, so shikhar is the topmost part of a temple. So if this is a temple, then you can have shikhar like this. This is shikhar. Shikhar is this particular part, which is the topmost part of your temple. One of the unique feature of early temples was that some of these were hollowed out of a huge rock as artificial caves. Like in Ellora cave, a big Shiva temple is there. So that is also a kind of an example, you can say. Many new temples were getting formed. Now, if we talk about the explanations and the expansions, in 19th century, European scholars were more familiar with the statues of Buddha and Bodhisattvas, which were evidently based on Greek models. But they were sometimes could not, they could not understand the sculptures of gods. They could not understand the philosophy or the idea behind making these sculptures. So when they saw these goddesses and gods with multiple arms, with multiple heads, they could not, get this point. And that's why with so many combinations of human and animal forms, like Ganesha can have a body of human but head of an elephant. So these Europeans avoided these sculptures when they used to make their sculptures, but they influenced the Indian art, the Greek style. Like many of the Buddha sculptures are, they resemble the Apollo, the god, the Greek god. So the features are very similar. Why? Because Indian art got influenced with the Greek art. Now, Buddhist literature mentions several chaityas, which are places associated with the Buddha's life. So we have chaityas and viharas. Basically, chaitya is a prayer hall and vihara is a living hall or living building where residential caves were made. So some different chaityas and viharas were there, and in stupa it contained relics. So 3 different types of architectures are there associated with Buddhism. I hope you understand. First is chaitya, second I told is vihara, and third is stupa. Okay, chaitya is a prayer hall, vihara is a residential hall, or the residential caves or areas, and stupa contained the relics. So after the death of Buddha, basically there was a war that who will keep the relics or remains of the Buddha's body, and 8 kingdoms fought a war. Ultimately people decided not to fight and divide the relics in 8 equal parts, and for each and every part they made their own stupas in their own kingdom. So that's why 8 popular stupas came after the death of Buddha. So when they kept those relics, they needed to keep it very intact and different from the surrounding area. So they made a heap on it. After that, they covered it with bricks, and then burnt mud bricks came. Then they made a plaster on it. After doing so much of plasters and heaps of materials on it, it was a kind of a sphere, you can say. So that sphere or that semi-spherical structure became very big and huge and grand for them, and they thought to decorate it more, because just to give it more respect and continue their art and style with it, they started making it big and big and bigger, and ultimately in the later modern period, the gateways, the gopurams, the entries, the double stairways were added. So new forms of parts in the stupa would be added with time. Initially it was just the relics kept in a box, and then they made a heap of bricks, mud, and then burnt bricks, and then ultimately plasters and layers of plaster on it. So these bodily remains were of Buddha or objects used by Buddha. After that, when the idea of making stupa came, people started making these stupas for the relics of the disciples also, the monks also. So after the death of monks, they decided to keep those relics of that monk and make a stupa on it. So it was regarded as a very sacred place, and the entire stupa came to be venerated as an emblem of both Buddhism or Buddha. Okay, so the structure of stupas comprise several parts. As I told you, parts got added one by one. So the under, or that semicircular mound of earth, is the main stupa. But if you want to climb on it and move around it, if you want to do a parikrama, you need to have stairs. Okay, so to make these stairs, a medhi was made. Okay, a kind of a structure from where the stairs will begin, and double stairway was there so that you can climb on it from this area, do the parikrama, and then come down from the other stair. So in this way you can complete the parikrama. So parikrama was made. So the parikrama path was also made. So in this way, under semicircular mound, Harmika was the balcony-like structure which was to perform the parikrama. Yashti was like mast, and Chhatri or umbrella, which was above the stupa. Because if you remember, at that time royal people, they used to keep the chhatri with them. Okay, the umbrella with them. So it used to show the royalty sometimes, and it was also to show the shadow of God. That's why these structures were added. The early stupas at Sanchi and Bharut, they were plain, because initially when you start with something, any architectures, even if you see the temples, they were initially very plain. But later you will see that the gateways will be coming, and then they will decorate the gateways. They were richly carved. So many intricate designs will be there, and they were installed at the four cardinal points, like 4 in east, west, south. 4 doors will be there to enter the stupa's compound. Now, if we talk about the Great Sanchi Stupa, the Great Stupa at Sanchi in the state of Madhya Pradesh, it is one of the most wonderful ancient buildings. Okay, 19th century Europeans, they were very interested in the stupa at Sanchi. Why they were so interested? Because at that time, if you remember, the modern architecture was getting discovered in India, and so many new learnings to know the culture of India was done by the Europeans, because they wanted to rule. So ultimately in that particular chaos, some new findings were made. The rulers of Bhopal, as I told you, Shah Jahan Begum and Sultan Jahan Begum, they provided money to preserve the Sanchi Stupa. John Marshall wrote a very important volume. Many important volumes were there written by John Marshall. It was on Sanchi. The discovery of Sanchi really transformed the understanding of early Buddhism, and it stands as an example of successful restoration and preservation of ancient site by Archaeological Survey of India, as discussed with you. Then we have Amravati Stupa also, which is still preserved. So in 1854, Walter Elliot, you can write this point, this is important for prelims. Walter Elliot visited Amravati and collected several sculptures panels and discovered the remains of Western Gateway. He came to the conclusion that the structure at Amravati was one of the most significant Buddhist stupa. But it could not survive, as sculptures from this site were removed from the site instead of preserving things, but they were made again. It was not found in that original way as it was made, but later it was reconstructed. Now, if we talk about the timeline of this particular chapter which we discussed, it starts from 468 BC. So 468 BC is the time when Mahavira passed away and he attained the nirvana or salvation, okay, at the age of 72. Then in 1st century BC, Jainism enjoyed the patronage of the Kalinga king Kharavela. So Kharavela Kalinga gave patronage to Jainism and Buddhism both. 4th century BC, Jainism spread to Kalinga in Odisha, and 563 BC, Gautama Buddha was born in Shakya Kshatriya family in Kapilvastu. See, according to the dates, both Buddha and Mahavira, they were contemporary of each other. Okay, in 487 BC, the first Buddhist council was there, and in 387 BC, the second Buddhist council was there, and in 251 BC, the third Buddhist council was there. Okay, I'll make you write about the Jain councils and Buddhist councils. We had 2 Jain councils and 4 Buddhist councils. I'll make you write about all of them one by one. Okay, and after this, if you can understand, we completed the same topic in class 6 NCERT where I ended the last class. Okay, just to make you understand. If you want, you can check the last video where we discussed this particular part, new questions and ideas. If you remember, we discussed how these stupas were made. I discussed this slide with you. I discussed the monasteries part with you, and I discussed how these monasteries were made. Okay, and I told you that after this we will discuss the next chapter. So chapter 7 will be covered tomorrow, in which we will talk about Ashoka, the emperor, how he came, how the initial stages of Mauryan Empire were there. We will discuss that, but before it, let's start the dictation of today's lecture. Let me give you some points important for prelims and mains. Take out your copy or notebook wherever you are practicing your notes making, and then put the new subheading. Let me just start from the part of Jainism first, because I remember that in the last class I was dictating about Jainism. So just continue it from there. And first let's write about the 2 groups of Jainism. Okay, there are 2 sects of Jainism basically, Digambara and Shvetambara. Okay, so let's write about that first. So basically Digambaras, they are monks who followed the idea that they will stay naked. They were very strict, too strict, and they never allowed women to be the Tirthankar. Okay, but in the Shvetambara school, you will see that Sthal Bahu was there, and in Shvetambara they allow women to be the Tirthankar. They allow women to take part in all the activities equally. They are more liberal and they wear white clothes. Okay, so that Digambara is by Bhadrabahu. It was popularized by Bhadrabahu, and Shvetambara was by Sthalabahu. So both these are very important sects, and they both have some differences and similarities. So let's write about it first. Please put the heading Digambaras and Shvetambaras. First we will write about the Jainism, and then we will come to Buddhism. Okay, I'll try to finish both these today itself. Okay, but if anything remains, no worries, we can continue it from the next part tomorrow. Okay, quickly you need to write, guys. I'll be giving you all the points of dictations very quick. Are you guys ready? If you will say ready, then only I'll start dictation. Ready with your notebook, पेंसिल जो लाना है ले आओ, किताब कॉपी, और लिखने बैठ जाओ. Important points, I'll be dictating important points for your prelims and mains. Let me have some water. Okay. So I can see that you guys are ready now. Fine. So as I told you, you need to write about Shwetambaras and Digambaras. So let's first write about Digambaras. Two schools of Jainism. The Jain monastic order please write. The Jain monastic order came to be divided into two groups, Shwetambara and Digambara. Shwetambara, Shvetambara, Digambara, Digambara. In the 3rd century AD. So they were divided in 3rd century AD. So Digambara was popularized by Bhadra Bahu, Bhadra, Bahu, Bhadra Bahu, Bhadra, Bhadra Bahu, Bahu, Bhadra Bahu. So Digambara was popularized by Bhadra Bahu. So first point under Digambara, it believes that women cannot achieve nirvana. Women cannot achieve nirvana or liberation directly. They first have to reborn as a man for this. Full stop. Digambara monks abandoned clothes and stayed naked. Digambara monks abandoned clothes and stayed naked. Okay. Now let's write about Shwetambara, which was popularized by Sthala Bahu. Sthala, Sthala Bahu, Bahu. Shwetambara by Sthala Bahu. Shwetambara, under it please write, believes that women are equally capable of achieving liberation as a man. They believe in Sabastra Mukti, Sabastra, Sabastra Mukti. They wore white clothes. Okay, so they wore white clothes. Okay, now there is one more sect, Yapaniya sect. Okay, Yapaniya, Yapania, Yapaniya. So in Yapaniya sect, they followed the mixture of both Digambaras and Shwetambaras. So in a short note, you can write it. Yapaniya was a sect in Jain religion, which is believed to have originated from Digambaras. However, they also used certain Shwetambara opinions. They worship nude images of the Tirthankars in their temples. They worshipped nude images of the Tirthankars in their temples. Okay. Now, next subtopic is Jain literature. Jain literature, Jaina, Jain literature. The sacred books of Jainas are collectively known as the Siddhanta, or Agama, Agama, Siddhanta or Agama. Okay. So basically in Jain literature and in Buddhist literature, in both these literatures, there is a similarity. What is the similarity? Try to understand it. You can have canonicals, okay, canons. So Jain canons are also there and Buddhist canons are also there. So in the canonical literature, the core philosophies are there, core teachings, like whatever is associated directly to Mahavira, the core teachings of Jainism. They are in the canonical texts, but in the non-canonical texts, there are philosophies or informations or historical records related to the Jainism. So both these canonical literatures and non-canonical literatures are important. Fine. So let's first write about the canonical texts. CANONICAL. Canonical texts. These texts are sacred literature of Shvetambara sect and they have the core ideas of Jainism, which includes 12 Angas and 12 Upangas. Okay, so there are 12 Angas, ANGAS. Angas are the literature, Jain literatures, and Upangas are the commentaries on those Angas. So 12 Angas are there and 12 Upangas are there. Okay, etc. So in this canonical literature, we can have Angas, Upangas, we can have Sutras, Cheda Sutras are there, Mool Sutras are there. So the compilation of entire canon, it took place in 5th or 6th century, and it was in a council which was held at Vallabhi, Gujarat. And at that time it was presided by Devardi Shramar Sharma, and it was a very popular council. But then they had to do one more council because they needed to compile few more Angas and Upangas. That's why two Jain councils were there. Okay, please write the next point. The Angas were written down in Ardha Magadhi language. Ardha Magadhi, as I told you, basically the Jain literature followed the Prakrit language. In Prakrit we can have different sub languages like Pali, Magadhi, Ardha Magadhi. So spelling of Ardha Magadhi is ARDHA, Ardha Magadhi, MAGADHI. Okay. Next point, 12 Upangas are there, UPANGAS, Upangas. 12 Upangas are there which are explanations to Angas. Explanations to Angas. Next point, 6 Cheda Sutras are there. Cheda Sutra or Cheda Sutra, CHEDA. Cheda, 6 Cheda Sutra हैं, 6 Cheda Sutras are there, and they are texts related to the behavior of monks and nuns, like how to behave. Behavior of monks and nuns. Behavior of monks and nuns. Shri Lakshmi, you can see, you are writing that I should go slow, but see, I need to, dictate you according to the other students. So what we can do is that any of you who find it very, very slow can watch it on, speed. You can watch the video by making it 1.5. Okay, there is the speed which you can do in the settings of YouTube, and if you want it to be slow, then you can reduce the speed of the video and watch it like that. Fine, you just need to write every point. Second is again one point which is written by Sri Lakshmi, that if you can repeat Yapanya. Yes, Yapanya is a sect in Jainism which is said to be coming from the Digambaras, but it follows few of the philosophies related to Shvetambras also. So they are like mixture of both. Okay. Fine. Next is four Moola Sutras. MULA, Moola. Four Moola Sutras. These are texts which provide a base in the earlier stages of the monkhood. Mool Sutras, there are four Mool Sutras, चार Mool Sutra हैं. These are texts which provide a base in the earlier stages of the monkhood. Okay. Then next point, 10 Parikirnas or Prakirnas, PRAKIRNAS. 10 Prakirnas are there. These are texts on independent subjects or miscellaneous subjects. Independent or miscellaneous subjects. Next point. Two Kulik Sutras. दो Kulik Sutras हैं. CULIKA Kulik Sutras. SUTRAS. Kulik Sutras. Two Kulik Sutras are there. These are texts which further enhance or decorate the meaning of Angas. Okay. These are texts which further enhance or decorate the meaning of Angas. So all these which we have discussed are canonical texts. ठीक है, ये सब क्या था? कैनोनिकल टेक्स्ट था. मैंने बताया दो टेक्स्ट होते हैं. एक तो कैनोनिकल टेक्स्ट है जिसमें कोर आइडिया है, वॉट एवर इज कोर एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ योर जैनिज्म. Then we have some non-canonical texts also, which are not that important, but you should know few of the names for the sake of exam. So please write the non-canonical Jain works. Put a subheading non-canonical texts. Non-canonical texts. Then under it, please write the non-canonical Jain works are partly in Sanskrit and partly in Prakrit. Partly in Sanskrit and partly in Prakrit. And they include commentaries, comma, historical works and semi-historical works. Some major Jain texts are Kalpasutra, Kalpasutra, KALPASUTRA. Somebody is asking about the spelling of Kulik Sutra. CULIKASUTRAS. Kulik Sutras. Two Kulik Sutras are there, which are to further enhance or decorate the meaning of Angas. Okay. Now please write about non-canonical texts, which includes commentaries, historical works and semi-historical works. So I told you about the first one, Kalpasutra, which forms a part of fourth Chhed Sutras. As I told you, we have Chhed Sutras. कितने Chhed Sutra हैं? 6. 6 Chhed Sutras हैं. Right? I hope you remember. You just wrote it in the above paragraph. These are texts related to the behavior of monks and nuns. Right? तो जो Chhed Sutra है ना, 6 हैं. 6 Chhed Sutras are there. So from those 6 Chhed Sutras, that fourth one, okay, the fourth Chhed Sutra, okay, Kalp Sutra forms a part of that fourth Chhed Sutra only. Kalp Sutra, which forms a part of fourth Chhed Sutra, which was written by Bhadrabahu. Okay, tell me, Bhadrabahu popularized which sect of Jainism? भद्रबहु किसके लीडर थे? दिगंबरा के या श्वेतांबरा के? कौन बताएगा? Okay, you guys can tell me whenever you feel tired. Okay, if you are writing and feeling tired, we can end the session. थोड़ा जल्दी कर देंगे. Next part I can dictate you tomorrow. And if you're not tired, tell me that I should keep going. Okay, because Fine. So upside down king, you gave the right answer, which is Shvetambara. Saurabh Tataria Gupta, you are wrong. सौरभ ध्यान से सुनिए, पे अटेंशन इन द क्लास. श्वेतांबरा के स्थल बहु हैं लीडर, ठीक है, भद्र बहु दिगंबरा के हैं. ओके फाइन, सो आई कैन कंटिन्यू फॉर फ्यू मोर मिनट्स as you guys are not tired. So please write the next point. Doctrine of Jainism. Doctrine of Jainism. Under it, please write. The doctrine of Jainism are much older than Buddhist doctrines. The doctrine of Jainism are much older than the Buddhist doctrines. According to Jain conception, time is divided into many regressive and progressive cycles. Time is divided into many regressive and progressive cycles. Full stop. These were further divided into 6 stages or कालास. काल होता है ना, जैसे एक काल है, एक टाइम पीरियड है, उसको काल कहते हैं. सो दीज वर फर्दर डिवाइडेड इनटू 6 स्टेजेस और कालास, KALAS. Okay, so the core ideas behind Jain doctrine are: number 1, doctrine of manifold nature of reality. Doctrine of manifold nature of reality. Let me repeat. The core ideas behind Jain doctrines are: first is the doctrine of manifold nature of reality, known as Anekantavad. Anekantavad, Anekantavad, ANEKANTAVADA, अनेकंतवाद, मतलब कि जिसमें गॉड को माना जाता है कि गॉड इज निर्गुण ब्राह्मण, गॉड इज विदाउट एट्रीब्यूट्स. You can never explain the philosophy of God. There is no single statement, there is no single idol which can explain. So Anekantavad, it is literally the doctrine of non-absolutism. Please write. It is literally the doctrine of non-absolutism. Next point, next core idea is the theory of conditioned prediction. The theory of conditioned prediction. It gave importance to relativity of all knowledge. Third is the theory of partial standpoints. The theory of partial standpoints. This described the reality from different perspectives. This described the reality from different perspectives. Okay. Then we have 3 gems, 3 रत्नास. Please write. Next point. 3 रत्न हैं हमारे जैन धर्म में. 3 रत्ना, 3 gems. TRIRATNA. 3 रत्ना. Number 1, सम्यक विश्वास, faith. सम्यक, SAMYAK, सम्यक विश्वास, मतलब विश्वास होना चाहिए आपको किसी भी चीज पे. फेथ, विश्वास रखो, फेथ रखो, FAITH, सम्यक विश्वास, फेथ. नेक्स्ट इज सम्यक ज्ञान. सम्यक ज्ञान, नॉलेज. सम्यक ज्ञान, नॉलेज. एंड सम्यक आचरण, कंडक्ट. सम्यक आचरण, अच्छा आचरण होना चाहिए, कंडक्ट. सो सम्यक विश्वास, सम्यक ज्ञान, Samyak Acharan. I hope you know the spelling of Vishwas, Gyan and Acharan. Vishwas, Vishwas. Gyan is Gyan and Acharan is Acharan. Okay. Then we have next important point, which is importance of soul. Okay, so please write that they believe that every being has a soul or Atma, and salvation can be attained if one's soul. They believe that every being has a soul or Atma, and salvation can be attained if one's soul is free from physical bondage. Next point. There are three sources of knowledge. अगर आप किसी चीज़ को पढ़ना चाहते हैं, जानना चाहते हैं, तो तीन तरीके होते हैं. आप डायरेक्टली उसके बारे में जान लो, पढ़ लो, किसी से आप उसके बारे में सुन लो और एक अनुमान लगा लो, या किसी की टीचिंग है, ये है ना, किसी का कोई टीचिंग चल रहा है, उसको आपने जाके सुन लिया. सो दीज आर द थ्री सोर्सेस. फर्स्ट इज प्रत्यक्ष. आपने सुना होगा, देयर इज अ लाइन, प्रत्यक्ष को प्रमाण की जरूरत नहीं होती. तो डायरेक्ट नॉलेज. So Pratyaksh is direct knowledge. Second is Anuman, which is contemplation. And third is the teaching of Tirthankaras. So these are the three sources of knowledge. In prelims, they may ask you that what are the three sources of knowledge? Okay, let me repeat it. Three sources of knowledge in Jainism. Number one, Pratyaksh. Pratyaksh. Pratyaksh means direct knowledge. Second, Anuman, contemplation. Anuman, contemplation. Third is teaching of Tirthankar. Teaching of Tirthankar. Okay. Now please write about the Jain councils. Two Jain councils were there. Number one, first council. First Jain council happened in 310 BC, 310. 310 BC में first council हुए. So Jain council, first Jain council in 310 BC in Patliputra, in which 12 Angas were compiled, and at that point president was Sthulabhadra. Sthulabhadra, Sthula, Sthula. Bhadra, Bhadra. Then in second council happened in 453 or 466 AD. We are not sure about the date of second council. Historians have debates. तो आप दोनों डेट लिख दो, 453 or 466 AD, which happened in Vallabhi, Gujarat. Vallabhi, in which final compilation of 12 Angas and 12 Upangas were done. Final compilation of 12 Angas and 12 Upangas were done. And here the president was Devardhigani. 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 In second council, the president was Devardhigani. Devardhigani. Okay. So basically, it was not easy to follow because it was of extreme character. Jainism follow karna mushkil tha. So Mahavira's teaching were very extreme and overemphasis was there on ahimsa. But they used Prakrit, so many people joined it. But they never discarded the use of Sanskrit language completely. Few of the parts are there which are written in Sanskrit also. However, it never got international prominence, which is a very great difference between Jainism and Buddhism. You can write it because Jainism never gained international prominence, and it only spread to those areas where Brahmanical religion was weak. Okay, so Jainism failed to attract masses because clearly it could not differentiate itself from Brahmanical religion, and it was too extreme to follow, very extreme. But it got few royal patronages. Please write, royal patronage came from North Indian rulers like Bimbisar, Ajazshatru, Chandragupta Maurya, and Kharavela of Kalinga. Bimbisar, Ajazshatru, Chandragupta Maurya, and Kharavela, Kalinga. Kharavela, the ruler of Kalinga. And from South India, the rulers were the rulers of Kadamba dynasty, Ganga dynasty, Rashtrakuta dynasty. Amogvarsh of Rashtrakuta dynasty was a very popular, person, or very popular ruler who gave donations for Jainism. And then Kumarpal of Chalukya dynasty. I'll repeat. In North India, Bimbisar, Ajazshatru, Chandragupta Maurya, and Kharavela of Kalinga. In South India, dynasties like Kadamba dynasty, Ganga dynasty, and Amogvarsha of Rashtrakuta dynasty, and Kumarpal of Chalukya dynasty. These were the popular royal patrons of Jainism. Fine. Now, please write about Buddhism. Let me just start the discussion. Just write 2-3 points, and then tomorrow I'll discuss the major points of Buddhism with you. मतलब complete तो हो गया है discussion. We have discussed everything, but there are few points which I wanted you to write. So that part of dictation which is related to Buddhism will be given to you tomorrow. Just write few important starting introductions. Okay, put it in a new page. Start writing from a new page. Put the subheading Buddhism. Okay, एक नया सब हेडिंग डालेंगे नए पेज में. Buddhism as a religion and philosophy. Is based on the teaching of Buddha, which emphasized that true happiness does not lie in a material prosperity. True happiness does not lie in material prosperity or performance of rituals. But on the regulation of desires. Okay, so next subheading is early Buddhist literature. We have Buddhist literatures. Again, we can divide it into canonical texts and non-canonical text. I hope you remember the difference between canonical text. Canonical text वो हैं जो कि core teachings होती हैं बुद्धा की, या directly बुद्धा से associated होंगे. Non-canonical मतलब जो extra information, philosophies और commentaries होती हैं. Fine, so we will write about canonical and non-canonical text tomorrow. Okay, I hope guys you enjoyed it. If there is any doubt, please ask. I can take your doubts now. Rest of the topic will be covered tomorrow. मतलब topics हो गए हैं, will be dictated tomorrow. Okay, dictation we can do tomorrow. Fine. Okay. Thank you so much guys. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I don't see any doubts. But still, don't worry. As I told you that we have the group. You just join it on Telegram. I gave you a question to write today, which is critically analyze the similarities between Jainism and Buddhism and give the details about why the decline happened in India and why the fall of these two religions happened in India, or how they disappeared from India. So you need to write it in 250 words. Fine, just write it. Daily 9 p.m. Timing is daily 9 p.m. Okay. So 9 p.m. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming. See you then. Take care. Bye bye.